2.1 Lesson Objectives. Define elements and compounds. Explain why carbon is essential to life on Earth. Describe the structure and function of the four major types of organic compounds. Vocabulary: amino acid, carbohydrate, chemical bond, chemical reaction, complementary base pair, compound, DNA, double helix, element, lipid, matter, monosaccharide, nucleic acid, nucleotide, organic compound, polynucleotide, polypeptide, polysaccharide, protein, RNA, saturated fatty acid, unsaturated fatty acid. Introduction. If you look at your hand, what do you see? Of course, you see skin, which consists of cells. But what are skin cells made of? Like all living cells, they are made of matter. In fact, all things are made of matter. Matter is anything that takes up space and has mass. Matter, in turn, is made up of chemical substances. In this lesson, you will learn about the chemical substances that make up living things. Chemical substances. A chemical substance is matter that has a definite composition. It also has the same composition throughout. A chemical substance may be either an element or a compound. Elements. An element is a pure substance. It cannot be broken down into other types of substances. Each element is made up of just one type of atom. An atom is the smallest particle of an element that still has the properties of that element. There are almost 120 known elements. As you can see from the periodic table, the majority of elements are metals. Examples of metals are iron, Fe, and copper, Cu. Metals are shiny and good conductors of electricity and heat. Non-metal elements are far fewer in number. They include hydrogen, H, and oxygen, O. They lack the properties of metals. The periodic table of the elements arranges elements in groups based on their properties. The element most important to life is carbon, C. Compounds. A compound is a substance that consists of two or more elements. A compound has a unique composition that is always the same. The smallest particle of a compound is called a molecule. Consider water as an example. A molecule of water always contains one atom of oxygen and two atoms of hydrogen. The composition of water is expressed by the chemical formula H sub 2 of O. What causes the atoms of a water molecule to stick together? The answer is chemical bonds. A chemical bond is a force that holds molecules together. Chemical bonds form when substances react with one another. A chemical reaction is a process that changes some chemical substances into others. A chemical reaction is needed to form a compound. Another chemical reaction is needed to separate the substances in a compound. The significance of carbon. A compound found mainly in living things is known as an organic compound. Organic compounds make up the cells and other structures of organisms and carry out life processes. Carbon is the main element in organic compounds, so carbon is essential to life on Earth. Without carbon, life as we know it could not exist. Why is carbon so basic to life? The reason is carbon's ability to form stable bonds with many elements, including itself. This property allows carbon to form a huge variety of very large and complex molecules. In fact, there are nearly 10 million carbon-based compounds in living things. However, the millions of organic compounds can be grouped into just four major types: carbohydrates, lipids, proteins, and nucleic acids. Each type is also described below. Carbohydrates, proteins, and nucleic acids. Carbohydrates, proteins, and nucleic acids are large molecules, macromolecules, built from smaller molecules, monomers, through dehydration reactions. In a dehydration reaction, water is removed as two monomers are joined together. Carbohydrates. Carbohydrates are the most common type of organic compound. A carbohydrate is an organic compound such as sugar or starch and is used to store energy. Like most organic compounds, carbohydrates are built of small, repeating units that form bonds with each other to make a larger molecule. In the case of carbohydrates, the small repeating units are called monosaccharides. Monosaccharides. A monosaccharide is a simple sugar such as fructose or glucose. Fructose is found in fruits, whereas glucose generally results from the digestion of other carbohydrates. Glucose is used for energy by the cells of most organisms. Polysaccharides. A polysaccharide is a complex carbohydrate that forms when simple sugars bind together in a chain. Polysaccharides may contain just a few simple sugars or thousands of them. Complex carbohydrates have two main functions: storing energy and forming structures of living things. Lipids. A lipid is an organic compound such as fat or oil. Organisms use lipids to store energy, but lipids have other important roles as well. Lipids consist of repeating units called fatty acids. There are two types of fatty acids: saturated fatty acids and unsaturated fatty acids. Types of lipids. Lipids may consist of fatty acids alone, or they may contain other molecules as well. For example, some lipids contain alcohol or phosphate groups. They include triglycerides, the main form of stored energy in animals. Phospholipids, the major components of cell membranes. Steroids, serve as chemical messengers and have other roles. Proteins. A protein is an organic compound made up of small molecules called amino acids. There are 20 different amino acids commonly found in the proteins of living things. Small proteins may contain just a few hundred amino acids, whereas large proteins may contain thousands of amino acids. Protein structure. When amino acids bind together, they form a long chain called a polypeptide. A protein consists of one or more polypeptide chains. A protein may have up to 4 levels of structure. The lowest level, a protein's primary structure, is its sequence of amino acids. Higher levels of protein structure are described in the figures. Functions of proteins. Proteins play many important roles in living things. Some proteins help cells keep their shape, and some make up muscle tissues. Many proteins speed up chemical reactions in cells. Other proteins are antibodies, which bind to foreign substances such as bacteria and target them for destruction. Still, other proteins carry messages or materials. Nucleic acids. A nucleic acid is an organic compound, such as DNA or RNA, that is built of small units called nucleotides. Many nucleotides bind together to form a chain called a polynucleotide. The nucleic acid DNA, deoxyribonucleic acid, consists of 2 polynucleotide chains, while RNA, ribonucleic acid, consists of just 1. Structure of nucleic acids. Each nucleotide consists of 3 smaller molecules. Sugar. Phosphate group. Nitrogen base. The binding of complementary bases allows DNA molecules to take their well-known shape, called a double helix. Roles of nucleic acids. DNA is found in genes, and its sequence of bases makes up a code. The code carries instructions for the correct sequence of amino acids in a protein. RNA uses the information in DNA to assemble the correct amino acids and help make the protein. Lesson summary. Living things consist of matter, which can be an element or a compound. A compound consists of 2 or more elements and forms as a result of a chemical reaction. Carbon's unique ability to form chemical bonds allows it to form millions of different large, organic compounds. These compounds make up living things and carry out life processes. Carbohydrates are organic compounds such as sugars and starches. They provide energy and form structures such as cell walls. Lipids are organic compounds such as fats and oils. They store energy and help form cell membranes in addition to having other functions in organisms. Proteins are organic compounds made up of amino acids. They form muscles, speed up chemical reactions, and perform many other cellular functions. Nucleic acids are organic compounds that include DNA and RNA. DNA contains genetic instructions for proteins, and RNA helps assemble the proteins.